Oh, let me turn that down. And welcome to Mary Walter Radio. Happy 2025. It is so good to see everybody here. I was just trying to pull into YouTube and pull up my page, but it's logged in under my husband's name, and I can't. Cause let's see what I can do here. All right. Well, let me see. I would like to thank everybody for people who have subscribed to the page. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see. So we've got a bunch of new subscribers. So I want to thank you in the new year. Thank you so much. We've got Blanco Lirio. Okay. Oh, nope. That's my husband's stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to thank everybody next week because I don't know. We're logged in on his page. So, his ID on YouTube. So I don't know how to get out of it. So anyway, but thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody watching. The last podcast was 3 weeks ago because we didn't have a podcast on Christmas Eve. We didn't have a podcast on New Year's Eve. And that was the drone cast. And that went crazy. A lot of people enjoyed the drone cast. And you know what? It's really weird. Drones are kind of gone now. I think they're still here, but nobody pays attention to them. But we'll talk about that coming up. So if you have not done so, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the podcast. If you go back and watch them, and the audio is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Tomorrow, I will be in for David Webb on Sirius Patriot Channel 125 from 9 a.m. to noon. So that's tomorrow and Thursday. And Friday, I got stuff to do. So I'm not doing the show on Friday. And then Monday, hopefully, I'll be back on the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV between 4 and 5 o'clock Eastern Time on Newsmax. All right. So without further ado, oh my gosh, she is such a fan favorite. So many people are so, I am so happy she's here. There she is, Christine Flowers. How are you, honey?
I am fabulous, and I'm so honored to be the first guest of the first year of the second quarter of the of the millennium, the second millennial.
So I had to have him like, oh, who should I have the first? Who should be the first guest? And I was like, of course it's got to be Christine. Of course, you're a fan favorite. You've been on more than anybody else. So I was so
I
happy
love
that
it.
you were available.
Thank you. I'm honored. I am honored, Mary. I love you dearly.
Oh,
Your viewers and fans are amazing.
they
I
are.
love the interaction that they have on I okay, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X. They love you. And a lot of people, I think a lot of media figures don't have that kind of relationship with the people who follow them, and you clearly do, because you're very authentic, and you're a
Oh.
lovely human being, and you're smart, and I'm not saying this because you had me on your first 2025, but you are beloved, and I think everybody knows that.
Except for the people who block me. Other than them, I'm
Oh, I
good.
get blocked too.
I know.
The people who block you cannot deal with you. They are
That's true.
not they don't have your intellect. They get scared. It's like the kids who used to throw tomatoes at the window and then run. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to get my little dig in," but then I'm
Right.
not big enough to be able to debate the person. So I look at them and I go, "Oh, you poor, pathetic, putrid little creature. What a sad life you lead."
Well, we're going to talk about you getting thrown off Twitter. So let's see who's here. Sal is here. Dan is here. Bill is here. Porchview Farm. Let's see, Dan, Bill, we get Christine. Oh boy, Star Driver, Star Driver one. I'm not going to put all these up, but I want to read them. It says it's Thelma and Louise tonight.
Yes. Oh my God, that's perfect. That's perfect. I don't know who's who though.
Yeah, Dan says Happy New Year, y'all. We be in Act One, Scene Two now. The inauguration and the executive orders. Yep. It's, hey, Mary and Christine, go birds. So that's for you.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
And just so everybody, I'm not going to put all of the comments up on the screen just because with my shoulder, I can't reach the mouse from here. So it's super hard for me to do. So I literally have to pick my arm up and move it. So so I'll put some of them up, but not all of them. It doesn't mean I don't love you, but I will read as many of them as I can. Okay. So thanks, guys. Let's see. Star Driver, Hal says Star Driver is correct. Mary and Christina are the Thelma and Louise of X and podcasting.
I love
Uh,
it.
Star
I
says, Dan,
love
I'm
that.
waiting. Star says, Dan, I'm waiting for Act One, Scene Three. Tom Homan arrives.
Okay.
Omnicast, hey Omnicast, I'll see you Saturday. Says, greetings, Queen Mary. Star says, good evening, Your Majesty. We know who Stars. Suze is here. Woot woot, just in time. Squeaky, happy day after Insurrection Day. um, Starter in for David Webb. Yep, Wednesday and Thursday. Happy Insurrection Day. Everybody's saying hello to everyone. Joseph says, Mary, blocker who blocked you regarding Phantom Handshake, dumbest of days on X. Yes. Now Tax USA is here. Made it. Snowed in the mountaintop. Snowed in on the mountaintop. Hello to all and happy New Year. Good for you getting some snow. I loved seeing the snow. I saw you post. By the way, you are so photogenic. You take the
Oh,
best selfies. I take a selfie and I'm like, like look, I'm like all like crazy looking. I can't do it. But you take
well,
these best selfies. There's a beautiful selfie of you with your hat on, all covered with just the right amount of snow on you. It looked totally like professionally taken. So good for you. It
it
looked
was at a
beautiful. It
bus
really did.
stop on SEPTA on Broad Street, slightly before I didn't get mugged, but I got bumped by, by a homeless person right after I took the photo, and I tripped. But the photo was a lovely moment. And yeah, what you're saying is lovely, and I really appreciate it. It's another way of saying that I'm incredibly vain. I take lots and lots of selfies.
No.
When I change a profile photo, Facebook suggests other photos, and it is embarrassing, Mary, how many profile photos I have had in the past. It keeps scrolling and scrolling. I'm like, holy Lord, I've only been on Facebook for 15 years, but I've got like 100,000 profile photos. So.
Wow. So I have not changed my photo on my profile picture on Facebook since 2022 because I'm not on there anymore. Zuckerberg is going to be changing the rules. We're going to allow free speech now. I'm like, dude, you're only doing that because people are leaving Facebook in
Yeah.
droves. It's
Yeah.
the only reason they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's a cesspool. I mean, I got tired, and I've said this before. I get tired of the constant parade of pictures of people's grandchildren. I'm like, yes, your grandchildren are great. I lived through all the pictures of your kids, and I got to live through your grandkids. That's all it is. And pictures of everybody when they go to Italy. Like everyone goes to Italy. I don't know why. There's like 2 years where everybody went to Italy, right? And
And they're
so
all eating pizza, and they're all at
right,
the
they're all doing
Spanish
the same.
Steps.
Right.
Like
So it's become the Super 8 film that our parents had to sit through back in the day when they went to somebody's house and they had their movies from the Grand Canyon, and they would, bring out the screen. My dad would put the screen up and then bring out the Super 8 thing or the slides, cha-chong, 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 and he'd bring it out, and it was torture. Like if it was your house, it's great. Like you want to see those pictures, right? When we were kids,
right.
we're like, we want to see the pictures.
I know.
But if it's you're going to somebody else's house, who the hell wants to see that? That's what Facebook has become. So nobody's
Well,
on it anymore.
if you remember the movie, The Social Network, which, the whole story of how Facebook uh, originated, it was a way for young people to connect, and it was very cutting edge at that point.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everybody's parents and grandparents and aunts and
Yep.
godparents and uncles decided to come on, and the kids are like, WTF, what is this? Why are they all here? I don't want to be with you at Thanksgiving. Why are you in my social media airspace? So they all moved to, I forget. I don't know.
Instagram. Yeah, I think they went to TikTok and Instagram.
That's right. Excuse me. By the way, what is going to happen to TikTok? I mean, I know that whole thing about, unless it's bought by an American entity, the United States is going to ban it at the end of January or something along those. I know it's still functioning. I had an account. I got off of it not because I was afraid that China was surveilling me. It was annoying. It was the same women selling the same tchotchkes and getting the same, commissions for the same stupid makeup products. I'm like, this is boring. Or people dancing, which I do, but people dancing to video, to music. It's like, right. I could do that on Instagram and, not have a problem with China.
I think, listen, I think when it comes to kids, parents have to be aware. And I think if there's something super unhealthy out there for your kids, like TikTok, and apparently it is, I don't know anything about it. I'm not on it, but I figure if there's anything good on TikTok, someone eventually pulls it and puts it on X, so I get to watch it there.
Yeah, X is very interesting, and I didn't actually get kicked off of X yesterday.
Yeah,
I
so
had
tell
some
everybody, all I
kind
see
of
is a post from you that you got kicked off. I'm like, oh, what the hell did she do
I
now?
kicked myself off. I had a technological glitch. I don't know what I did. I downloaded some app that allowed me to listen to international radio, music stations. It's kind of like the app equivalent of an old shortwave radio, and that blew everything off. I my WhatsApp died. My whatever podcast thing died. I couldn't get onto X. Surprisingly enough, the one thing that survived the nuclear meltdown was Facebook.
Was
So,
Facebook, of course. The one thing you don't care about. All right, let's see what people have to say here. Okay. Joseph wants to know, is there a Jalen update in your local media? We haven't heard much here in ours. I don't know what that is.
he's talking about Jalen Hurts, and no, he's fine. There's no updates. I believe he will be ready to play.
Oh, he's
He
a football player?
he's our quarterback, Mary. He's our quarterback.
Oh, I don't care.
He is gonna lead us to the. He's gonna lead us to the promised land. Anyway, he suffered a concussion. It'll be a week and a half ago, and so he didn't play against the Giants. Nobody played against the Giants. I mean, essentially, they had our kindergartners, the kindergarten Eagles that they sort of recruited from St. Mary's Academy. They played the Giants, and they still beat the Giants. And it's kind of sad because I remember, I don't hate the Giants the way I hate Dallas. And I remember when the Giants were an incredible force with Eli Manning and who's the other guy before him? LT and Phil Simms and all those guys. But anyway, to get back to Jalen, he did not play because, number one, because he's still suffering from a concussion, and number two, they didn't want him to get injured again before the playoffs.
Right.
So yeah, Joseph, I think he's okay. I think he'll be ready to play Green Bay. Yeah, I did not want to play Green Bay because I love Green Bay, and I hate beating Green Bay because it's like beating Vince Lombardi, and Vince Lombardi is like the god of football. But you got to do what you got to do to make it to the Super Bowl. And anyway, Green Bay is a lot better than we would have played the Commanders, which I don't want to call them the Commanders because they're the freaking Redskins, okay? But anyway, they're the Commanders because it's all nice, and you have to be politically correct. The Washington team, obviously, and the Commanders are a more beatable team than Green Bay because Green Bay is always tough.
Yeah.
So that's a long way of saying Jalen's fine, and Jalen will be playing on Sunday.
And fun fact, there is a Vince Lombardi rest area on the New Jersey Turnpike.
I took a picture. Speaking of selfies, Mary,
did you really?
That is one of my most treasured selfies. I have a picture of me in front of the Vince Lombardi, the picture of Vince at the rest stop. Yeah.
Oh my God. Hermit Sal said he didn't go to Italy. He went to New York City's Little Italy.
Which is very good.
Yes. Dan says, yeah, well, Little Italy in New York it's getting smaller. It's getting littler and littler because Chinatown's getting bigger and bigger. So Little Italy is getting smaller and smaller. But San Gennaro Festival, we talked about that in October when San Gennaro is. You should go once. Everybody should go once. It's amazing, but there are no bathrooms, and that is the limiting factor of San Gennaro. Is yeah.
The big miracle is not the blood liquefying; it's finding a bathroom.
Finding a bathroom at San Gennaro, 100%. Yes. Let's see. Dan says Zuckerberg is losing to X. He wants it. He wants bucks. A leopard does not change its spots. No trust of that thief. Joe says, perhaps I'm too positive for my own good, but Facebook is great in promoting causes important to me and others. Yeah, I get it. I post, I always put everything from what we're doing, my schedule, the podcast, and all that stuff on Facebook. But I don't know. To me, I used to love logging into Facebook. I was on, and not that long ago, 22. And then something happened in 22, and I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know.
You know what it is? Facebook. Joe's right. Facebook. Facebook is nice. Facebook is kind. Facebook is generally sweet, although I've blocked some people on Facebook as well. It's where you do the GoFundMe's for your friends who are in need.
Right.
It's where I remember my departed loved ones and post old photos and things like that, because I can't do it on X because I refuse to pay to get a blue check so that I'll be able to write longer posts, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of X anyway. It was supposed to be pithy and short, you know?
Right.
But I agree. It's not a place to air your politics because it's way too Marquis of Queensberry rules nice. People don't like to fight back on Facebook, and there's the grittiness that you get. The more, I think it's more authentic. It's more dangerous. It's more hurtful, but it's more authentic on X, Twitter than it is on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you could you stop when you can't post anything political on Facebook because you get shut down. So I got tired of it. So I'm like, you've totally ruined this product. But yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Let's see. I had another thought in there as you were speaking, and I lost it. So
the train derailed.
Gregory says all it takes is one going to Italy, and then everybody needs to keep up with Giuseppe.
Hey, my boss is named Giuseppe. I love Giuseppe. Every other person, if you take 5 Italians, 3 of them will be named Giuseppe, 1 will be named Salvatore, and 1 will be named Massimo. And that's pretty much it. Or no, and then if they're American Italians, they're all Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say the American Italians, like I have friends, my husband always laughs because when I get together with my friends from high school, there's a Tony, a Rocky, a Dominic, and a Vinny.
And they're all in a Martin Scorsese film somewhere.
Exactly. Oh, I know what I was going to say, the blue check mark thing. So I was never going to get a blue check mark. But then when I hit like 10,000 followers, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a blue check mark. And then when I hit 11,000 followers, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get a blue check mark. And you know what? You know what did the blue check mark for me? They had a sale. It was 50% off. And it was only like $4 and change a month. So I'm like, wow, sold. I'll take it. So I did it because I love being able to edit my posts.
Well, oh, exactly. I mean,
I like that.
If you look at my stuff, I'm always dang. And so right underneath it, I'll comment on my own post with a little asterisk saying, you know, wake, not woke, or, you know, something like that. But it's just my point with Twitter X is that I used to like it when it was limited to a certain number of characters. I mean, that was the whole point. Get your message out quickly, get it pithy. Now, I mean, it's basically some people, not you, but some people just have these entire diatribes that go on and on and on and on. It's like, I could see that on Facebook, or I could see that, you know, on Instagram or something else. Why am I coming here for that?
Yeah. Well, I punch out of those. I don't have the attention span for it and I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm like you, if you can't get it across in a lot fewer letters, I'm not playing the game. I look really washed out. Believe it or not, I have makeup on. It's hard to tell. I look really washed out.
You look lovely. You look lovely.
I'm very
you like
white.
My lights, by the way, my Christmas lights?
I do. I love those. I think it's great. We didn't decorate for Christmas because we both worked in like crazy people. So we didn't have Christmas. One of us, or both of us was working straight from the 17th to January 1st. January 1st was the first day that we were both off on the same day. So we didn't buy a tree. We didn't do anything. We didn't do any of it. So
it's all about.
So, but anyway, they had a holiday sale. They had like a Christmas sale, like after Thanksgiving sale on X, and it was 50% off. And they kept saying 50, you know, for till midnight, whatever. And I was like, you know what? It's $4 and change a month. I'll do it.
I missed that. But you know what I do love about the Mark? Remember all those snooty people who would have, you know, in the days of Jack, what was his name? Who was his name? The old owner of Twitter.
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey, thank you. And you know, you had to jump through hoops and be a Nobel Prize winner to be able to get them to grant you
the blue check mark.
And some of those people really were just, it was ridiculous, the people who actually had the blue checks, because they had maybe 1,000 followers, but for some reason they knew somebody who, and you could do that. So I actually do love the fact now that is much more egalitarian, and the proletariat can, you know, the market system, buy yourself a blue check. I think it's for that purpose. I like the change.
Yeah. Okay, Dan says TikTok embeds a tracking pixel and watches you. Total Chi-Com spy tech. Let's see. Joseph says it appears Kevin O'Leary is close to putting together a group to buy TikTok, at least according to him, but he is a tireless self-promotion promoter in a good way. This, according to him. Star Driver, I'm guessing the DNC couldn't afford to pay their fact checkers, and that's why Zuckerberg is dropping them. Even if they sell TikTok, I think China will be able to get info from them. Joseph is back to the Eagles and says our media reported Hertz has not practiced in 16 days. Don't know who Hertz is, nor do I care, but go ahead.
No, because then this is really going to sound like sports talk radio.
That's okay. We do everything. Don't worry about it.
Joseph, I get it. I get it. You're an Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles fan. This is life or death what we're talking over here. But I feel good about Jalen. I really do. Most of the guys in the Philly market are not panicking about it. And Mike Sealski, a lot of the guys over at the Inquirer. Mike Sealski is the best sports writer in the Philadelphia market, by the way. But most of the people, they're fine. They're not freaking out about this. And stuff leaks. If something was really wrong, it would leak. The Eagles leak. They're not an ironclad tight team which keeps their information to the vest. I mean, we find out this information. So if something were really wrong with Jalen, we would know about this. The third string quarterback who played on Sunday is not going to be starting against Green Bay. I can promise you that. We have a second string quarterback. I don't know, but I'm sure Jalen will be there. And now we return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
Oh, no, we don't, because the comments keep coming. Let's see. Watching Your Back says they just waived Ian Boom, the backup. They added good signs he will be back. Did I just read that one? I don't know. And then Gregory says, I'm unburdened by football of any kind and in any of its permutations. Joseph, Christine, full disclosure, I think you know this. I live 25 miles from Lambeau, so I obviously bleed Packers green.
Guess what, Joseph? If Green Bay is not playing the Eagles at any given time, I root for Green Bay. I adore Green Bay. There is nothing that could get me to root against Green Bay except this weekend when they're playing the Eagles. And you know what? Green Bay and the Eagles are exactly the same type of team. And and I know you know this, Joseph, the only team that ever beat, at least for a very long time, Green Bay in the playoffs were the Philadelphia Eagles. It was the year before. It was the year before I was born, and it was like 60 some years ago. And it was the year before. It was the national championship, and I believe it was the year before the Super Bowl was inaugurated. So there you go. But I love the Cheeseheads. I love the Cheeseheads. I do.
Hermit says. Sal says, wasn't the name and emblem of the Washington Redskins created by a Native American? Yes, it was.
Yes, and he was on CNN. I saw him on CNN, and he was saying, my grandfather is the one who did this, and we would love to see it brought back. It really angers me. It was a casualty of that whole BLM era where they ripped Woodrow Wilson's name off of Princeton. They ripped at my college, Bryn Mawr College, the female lesbian founder of Bryn Mawr. I mean, you got to really offend people if you're a female, you're a lesbian at Bryn Mawr and you founded a college and still they erase your name because I think she was anti-Semitic.
But that's all the rage now, so her name should go back up.
I was thinking that, Mayor. I was thinking that's true. But they're judging people by 1800 and early 1900s. Which is ridiculous.
Of course, because they're morons. Dan says, au contraire, à mon ami, Facebook gets some really great fights.
I mean, some, but I haven't seen it. I really haven't. And maybe it's because I just block them because I have no time for, I know, when we were talking, Mary, about X and people blocking you, there's a difference between blocking someone because of their political views and not being able to engage with them, and blocking someone because they really are an irrelevant creature that
Right.
that's not intelligent enough to be able to debate, that just curses out, throws shade, calls you, not that this has ever happened to me, a washed up, wrinkled, toothless old hag. Not that that ever happened that I
Not that
remember.
you've ever seen those words like that in no
No,
sentence
I
together
totally
before.
pulled
Right.
that out of the ether with, you know, but people, they're mean. It's different. It's one
Yeah.
thing to block someone because you disagree with them. It's quite another to block someone because they're a worthless piece of, you know, crap.
See, on X, the only time I block people on Facebook is if you've defriended me. If you've unfriended me, and 9 times out of 10 it's because of politics, right?
Yeah.
It's always been that in the past. If I find out that if you've unfriended me, I block you. That's it. No coming back. We're done. I'm
Good.
fine. If you're gonna block me, you're gonna unfriend me, and I've known you since second grade, and you're gonna unfriend me because I work at Fox News or Newsmax or wherever. I'm done. I don't have time. And
Right.
the older I get, the less time, less patience I have. And on X, I rarely block people on X. What I do is I mute them so that they can scream into the wind, and I don't even see them, and I don't care. And it's great.
Me too.
And I love
Oh,
it.
I
So I
love.
never give them the satisfaction of blocking if I can help it.
Mm-hmm. My
So
favorite. It's true. My favorite is when I see a conversation and I see this account is muted by you. This account is muted. And then the account keeps coming back and responding. And I'll respond. I'll look at what the account said, and then I'll respond to it, and then I'll mute them again. It's like, I like to play the game. It's very good.
yeah, no, I hear you. So all right, where are we? Sal, not finding a restroom in Little Italy never stopped me from going. Just joking. Get it?
Yep.
All right,
That's the way to enjoy it.
Dan says, serious question. Had 2 accounts with blue check marks, both suspended. If I buy a blue check for my latest account, do they match the credit card numbers? I don't know. I just want to know what you're posting that you keep getting suspended.
Yeah, by Elon? You get suspended by Elon? Or was it under Dorsey?
I don't know. I don't know.
Come back and tell us.
Yeah.
Who was blocking you?
Let's see. Sal says, we're cover girl gorgeous. Thank you, Sal. Woo. Let's see. All right. Joe says the diehard Skins fans are that. Skins fans. Sure, most detractors of the name do not care about or follow football.
I agree.
Oreo just chimed in. We've got rolling with the punches. Good to see a couple seemingly strong women just being a light in this crazy ass world. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Joseph says, he'll stop. No more sports, promise. So of course Oreo says go Browns because he has to get in there.
Another great team, another great old team. See, these are Mary. Okay, I know you don't like football, but these are the old teams. You know, the Browns, which, well, it's a long story with what happened to poor Cleveland, but I mean, the Colts, the Baltimore Colts, which are now the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm not a huge Ravens fan, even though I was born in Baltimore, because I still remember the Johnny Unitas Colts and, you know, the Vince Lombardi, Green Bay, and the Detroit Lions, which have annoyed me recently because of their attitude, but I liked sort of like their resurgence since they were so pathetic for so many years. The Bengals, these are the Bears. These are the old hard scrabble teams. By the way, I cried my eyes out for I watched 3 sports movies that are actually girl sports movies. Because
I know which one you watched because I had to go find it. I saw you post it.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it?
I don't have that kind of time. I got to find the time to watch it.
It is so sad. I mean, I love Brian Piccolo. And when you get down on your knees to this is the Gail Sayer speech. And when you get down on your knees tonight, you say a prayer. I want you to love Brian Piccolo too. It just gives you chills.
It is.
And then I saw,
and it was the original. It wasn't the remake. It's the original too. So Brian's song. She posted she was watching Brian's song. I'm like, where did you find it?
Yeah.
So I found it.
Why would you remake that? That's like remaking Gone with the Wind.
I know.
And then Bang the Drum Slowly, which I'm annoyed at Robert De Niro for a lot of reasons, but he was brilliant in that. You know, about a baseball player, a catcher dying of cancer his last season. And then Something for Joey, which is rarely seen anymore. It was a TV movie, but people in Philly would know it was about the younger brother of John Capoletti, who was the Heisman Trophy winner for the Nittany Lions.
I've seen
Joey.
this. I've seen it. Yeah.
It's a great, great movie. And Joey was his younger brother who died at the age of 13. He would be my age today of leukemia. And one other fun fact, not really fun, but my father is buried at St. Peter and Paul Cemetery. And Joey Capoletti is buried right across from him. So every time I go and leave flowers for Daddy, I always take one of the flowers and stick it on Joey's grave. So anyway, it was a beautiful, beautiful movie.
That's
very
nice.
sad.
You know, I'd also say Rudy is another one of those sports movies I could watch.
That's
so
a gorgeous
I like that.
movie. Only nobody dies in Rudy. Or
That's true. That's
you know,
true.
In Hoosiers, another great movie.
Let's see. Again, I'm trying. I'm having a hard time with my arm, so putting things up. I could do this. I could bend from my elbow, but if I go to lift it up, it doesn't go anywhere. I have to do it. I have to pull it up with my other arm. So I'm not putting stuff up on the screen, guys, but I'll read them. So that's what I'm doing. So no offense to anybody. Ron says, Christine, your lights remind me of the frenetic lights on my house. So fun fact, I've known Ron forever. I mean, forever. And he was an engineer at Bell Labs, you know, so super smart guy, right? Super tech. And he does a whole light show for Halloween and for Christmas, and he sets it to music. He's one of those guys.
Oh, I love it.
You know, like he does the whole thing, and he does some of the intro music that I use. So he gave me a whole bunch of intro music I could use because it's Mozart mixed with like polka music. So he mixes like Mozart with other music. And makes it his own, so I can use it. So he's very fun. So that's a compliment.
That is a high honor. That, you know, my sister said, I appreciate the fact that you did that. My sister said it looks like a casino, and Elvis has just left the building because like girls. Viva Las Vegas.
Well, you've got like a menorah tree back there on a pillow. I don't know what that is.
I have a menorah, the pillow. I've got I can't show it to you. Let me see. Hold on a second if I can find it. Oh, my dreidel. This is my Christmas tree just fell. This is my dreidel wine cup. It's a dreidel. You fill it with wine or, you know, whatever beverage you choose. And I'm being very ecumenical this year.
You are, and you only bought it because it's a wine cup. Star says we look great. Thank you so much. Nicholas is here. Thanks for the show. I love football as well. I have a lot of respect for these athletes and what they have to endure physically. Happy New Year to you all. Mango Mush is here. I block no one. Free speech must be free. The only time I block people on X is I had someone who was messaging me was clearly looking me up to try to figure out where I lived and was finding past places where I've lived. And then he kind of went off the scent, but I was like, that's too creepy for me. So I blocked him. So that was that.
I agree. Free speech is free. However, you have a right to speak. You don't have a right to have me listen to you. So
that's true.
You can say whatever you want, and I can block your batuka if I don't like what you're saying. And that's, first of all, it's not a violation of the First Amendment because I'm not the government. But secondly, like I said, you can say whatever you want. That doesn't mean that people have to listen to you. Corollary of that is you can say whatever you want, but that doesn't come without consequences. And those consequences are not a violation of your constitutional right to speak.
Right. Says the lawyer. Says the lawyer.
So there.
Sal says, I'm surprised that the Redskins were not renamed the Washington Transgenders.
Oh my God. Oh.
Dan says, I agree with Christine regarding blocking. If one wrestles with pigs, one must get muddy. But sometimes it's fun to play with food. Superior knowledge wins, little man complex. Watching your back. I let the elections thin out my friends list on Facebook. Nicholas, I agree with you. The older I get, the less patience I have. It's so true. You know, today, so I dealt with some today, and I've got to kind of be cryptic about it. But it was just like one thing after the next, and I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm only supposed to be using one arm because honestly, I can only bend this one from the elbow. Yeah, I mean, this is the motion I get. It's from the elbow to my fingers. You know, the motion from the shoulder to the elbow is not happening yet, and but I got stuff to do. So I'm trying to do all this stuff with my left hand, which takes twice as long to do that although I am getting better. I'm getting really good. Like I can use my mouse with my left hand now. So I'm getting a little ambidextrous, but I have a lot that I had to get done. And put your right arm in a sling for 6 weeks. You figure it out. Excuse me, 3 months, 12 weeks. You'll figure it. I'm at 7 now. So
Oh,
I got a ways to go.
oh,
But anyway, so I got a lot to do. I got a lot going on. And it was like one stupid thing after the next. And I'm like, I have to deal with it. Seriously? Now I got to, it was just like one of those days where like the next person who texts or calls me, they could be the nicest person in the world, you know? It could be Sister Mary Rinaldi from the Nuns, right? And she's getting it because I've been like, what? What is it going to be now? And I've just hit that point where I just, I'm sorry you're stupid, but it's really not my job to straighten you out. I'm just at that point where I'm sorry you've made it this far in life and can't get out of the house. You know, you can't tie your shoes. I just can't. So I used to when I was younger. I try to get involved and I try to help and I try to do this. And I try to not anymore. I don't do it. I'm like, you're on your own. I can't. The whales are going to have to save themselves. It's too much work for me. I just don't have time.
yeah, everyone has become a philosopher, and everyone believes that their own opinion not should not only be heard, but should be heeded. That everybody has to agree with them, and if you don't agree with them, you are either stupid, racist, a xenophobe, a misanthrope, a misogynist. Whatever. If you disagree with someone now, it says something about you and not about the
Right.
quality of their opinions
It's not just
or
that.
lack
It's
thereof.
people don't read, which drives me crazy. And so, or people will text me something. They'll go, "Hey, do you know if this is true?" And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Go to DuckDuckGo, go to Bing, go to Google, figure it out. Why it took you more time to text that to me than it would be if you just looked it up on your own."
Right. What I also hate is people who debate you with very unoriginal thoughts, and they give you a link to an article that you're supposed to read and delve through to try and understand what their argument is. I don't do that. I don't even post my own articles in response to someone's argument to me. I just respond, I give an answer, it's clean, it's quick, and if you disagree, that's fine as long as you're polite. I don't care.
Right.
Some of my best friends I've made because of debates that we've had. But if you are a smarmy, sneaky, sniveling, mediocre, pathetic, subpar human being who thinks that they're all that, I don't have time for you and I don't want you in my airspace. And damn straight, I'm going to block you because you don't have a right to be heard by me. My time is too precious. I'm 63. I don't have that much time left.
That's why I just hit mute. I forgot what I was going to say again. You were on a roll and I forgot. I'll remember when we go through here. I'll remember. Oh, I know. Everyone, you can follow Christine on X at Flower Lady 61. So look for her there,
I
and you
promise
can
not to
find
block
her
you.
article. You can find the articles of which she speaks at Kagel. So find her there. Right? Is that
That's
where you
right.
are, Kagel? That's right.
Kegel.
And if you need a good immigration attorney, I highly recommend her.
This is
I
my
love that.
this is my de-stressor, Mayor.
Oh, it bad. Oh,
It's my like they have those balls that you're supposed to
right.
squeeze. She's my de-stressor.
Okay.
Oh, beautiful for space. She's gonna get a lot of work in the next couple years.
I know. I know. All right, where are we? Let's see. Dan was blocked under Dorsey and under Elon. He lost his account on X. I post a lot of quote weedy Islam stuff and I'm very dark in humor. I did pick on Nadler and also Cavuto. Cavuto was the latest hit, both in like 10 minutes. I never threatened them. So, all right. Star says the people who complained about the Redskins don't even watch football. They just need something to complain about. Joseph, Brian Song, the greatest sports movie by a mile. Yes. Susan Mengelbush shouting out to each other. Ami Castle says Manischewitz wine dreidel.
Oh my God, he's kind of right. I never
Right?
filled it with Manischewitz. I went very ecumenical. I only drink Italian wine, and so I filled it with Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. So I mean,
Yeah. I don't drink wine at all. I'm allergic to it, so I don't drink wine. But Manischewitz is like terrible, right?
I think so. It's like vinegar, you know? It's like
Yeah.
Thunderbird. It's the Jewish version of Thunderbird.
You know, I have a ton of Jewish friends, and I'll tell you the same thing, that they're at their finest when they're miserable. So that the suffering, they've always got to be suffering. So drinking crappy wine would just it kind of tracks, you know.
I love my Jewish friends. I am a huge supporter of Israel. I am just, you know, I've got a menorah over here and I've got dreidels. And I'm
That
very
being
supportive
said,
of Israel. But I'm sorry. I'm not going to drink Manischewitz. I draw the line at the Manischewitz. I'm also not going to eat those gefilte fish, whatever those things are. I don't eat eels on the seven fishes on, you know, Italian.
no,
I don't eat eels. I'm not eating some ball of fuzz in a
it's like phlegm.
gefilte.
It's like a ball of phlegm. It's
Ugh!
disgusting. Nope. I can do white fish, but I cannot do gefilte fish. Nope, nope. Can't get past the look. I'm with you. Gregory says I block all the folks that send DMs looking for something eventually. Mango Mush says I ignore the people I can't stand, but I don't block. Yeah, that's you and me together. That's why I blocked you on X Mango. I muted you on X Mango Mush. He still thinks we're friends. I'm kidding. um, Dan, the shoulder, fun shit, huh? I had both. Yeah. Actually, I gotta tell you, it's really truly not that bad. It's just that, excuse me, my bicep had to be detached and then reattached elsewhere on the bone.
Oh.
And that's what's kind of getting me right about now, because I literally can't lift my arm up because the bicep just right now it's just really not having any of it. My
How long?
biceps like,
How long do you have, or do you have to keep that immobilized?
well, I can move it to a certain degree, whatever, you know, like it's just that I can't, it just won't. So it's just, I'll sit there with my physical therapist. I'm like, am I doing it? And he's like, no, it's not moving. I'm like, but I'm trying really hard.
But this is
But it's,
normal. This is something that
yeah, yep, it's totally normal. The bone, it takes 3 months for anything to reattach to bone. So, and that's the minimum. So, you know, you wear I have the big immobilizer thing with the big pad and all that, just really as a mobile warning buoy to keep people away from me. But the problem is people see it, yet they still hug you or still grab you by the shoulder. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? My husband's like, I'm just gonna wrap you in like a yellow construction vest and that red and black tape, you know, like for a construction zone. He goes, I'm just going to wrap your arm in it because people still grab you. Some guy, we were at our little local bar, we're leaving. He's like, oh, what'd you do, bro? We're talking to people, and like half an hour later, he leaves and he punches me in the arm. I'm like,
oh my God. Oh my
he
God.
does that to everybody. See ya. This is thing. And I was just like,
Oh, the pain.
it really wasn't that painful. I have to admit, it's really, the pain is just the healing. You know, it's not terrible. I also have a very high tolerance for pain.
Mhm.
So
You're
I
like
wasn't
my
taking,
mother. My
yeah.
mother refused to take, there was a drug years and years ago. I don't think they make it anymore, but
It's
she had
called
surgery.
opium.
No, and it wasn't Haldol either. It was called Darvon, which
Oh yeah, Darvon. They got rid of that. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know, people were getting 3 heads or something. But I remember the doctor, and back then there wasn't that problem of worrying about opioids. They were very generous in
Oh,
prescribing. And my mother had this entire bottle of Darvon that they gave her after surgery. Do you know how long that bottle lasted, Mary? She got it in 1974 when I was in the 8th grade. When she passed away in 2014, there was still Darvon in that bottle. We're talking 50 years. 50
yeah.
years, almost, no, 40 years afterwards. I don't even think she finished half that bottle. But she's like you. She had a
Yeah.
very high tolerance for pain.
Yeah. I take Tylenol. I took the Oxy for like a week just so I could sleep at night because I couldn't sleep. Um, and I've been taking Tylenol since, so that's it.
That's good.
Let's see. Oreo says, by show of hands, who owned a Slinky?
I have a Slinky somewhere in this room. In fact, I did an Instagram video of me playing with the Slinky. It sounds so gross, doesn't it? But it is. It was, and I get my Slinky. I can get it to go down the steps. I
Of
can
course.
also do with a Duncan yo-yo. I can do Rock the Baby, Rock the Cradle.
Wow, that was a yo-yos became very trendy when I was a kid, and then they were out again, and then they became trendy again.
Yeah.
I'm so old it came and went back.
Older than
Dan
you, and I
says it's
remember.
Dan says it's fun getting old and cranky. People become very wary of you. That's a good thing.
If only. That's not happening to me. It's like
Yeah.
I'm attracting the crazies.
But Dan says he has an original Slinky in the original box in mint condition.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Do not lose that. That is a rare collector's item.
Do they still make Slinkies?
Yes, that I just bought my Slinky, and it's a metal Slinky. It's not one of those cheapo plastic pretend ones. You know the plastic ones they have now?
Yeah, you got to get the metal one that could cut paper.
Well, I think the lawyers are the reason that they don't really make them that much any longer, because kids were strangling themselves and hurting themselves with plastic. The worst that can happen is it breaks, if you try and do, or you can choke on it if if you're so inclined. But the metal Slinky is very difficult to find. So hold on to that Slinky. That could take
with
care of
all
your
this
retirement.
I have all that stuff from when I was a kid. I had my little Kittles dolls and all the little Kittle Playhouse. It's worth like $8. It's like worth like $8 on eBay. Nobody wants it.
I do.
Nobody wants that stuff. Ron says, how are you going to ski with that arm? Well, Ron went to the doctor on Friday, who we ski with, who told me before surgery I should be fine to ski, who said, well, you're only be 3 months and 2 weeks, and it's 3 months to adhere back to the bone. So probably you might want to just ski only if it's really good conditions. There's lots of snow, and stay on the greens. I was like,
so meaning you're going to miss this season, because by the time you're ready to do it, it's going to not be snowing or snowy.
We've got our lift tickets, non-refundable. So what the hell are we going to do? We've got the hotel room. We've got the airplane tickets. And I mean, I can go out. I can still go. We know a lot of people out there, and I can go have a good time and stuff. But then hubby skis by himself, which he doesn't really, that's not a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I will see. I said, well, maybe he said he could give me a brace. I have a brace for my left arm when I ski. I'm like, can I just move that to my right arm when I ski and see if it'll stay in there in case I fall? Okay. Let's see. Oreo telling Dan, hold on to that. But also, if you have a Meet the Beatles album on VJ Records in mint condition, it would be very, very valuable. Gregory, the Slinky worked most all the way down from the top of our 3rd floor apartment building, only to be stopped by the drunk laying at the bottom of the stairs.
That part didn't make it into the commercial.
Walks downstairs with
get Slinky. Whoop.
Walks downstairs without a care, right? It makes the happiest sound. What does it say? I can remember.
Slinky, for fun, it's a wonderful toy.
Right.
It's Slinky. It's gonna hit the
fun for a girl and a boy.
The drunken guy at the bottom of the
Star says, how are a Slinky and Joe Biden alike? I chuckle when both of them go down a flight of stairs. Dan says the Slinky is protected. He said, I wish I had that Beatles album. I wonder what the going price is for that album. Dan says, Manischewitz is sugary sweet. Kids get plastered. Use the grape wine in charosis, I guess. I said that with a Hispanic accent and not a Jewish one. But anyway, walnut, apple, cinnamon, wine, Passover dish. Like, no offense. Like, I love Mandelbrot. I love potato latkes.
Latkes I like.
I love a good bagel with a schmear and some lox, but Jews are not known for their cuisine. That's all I'm going to say.
No,
kind of like the British are not known for their cuisine either.
You just mentioned the 2 things that I absolutely adore in Jewish cuisine. I can count them on 2 fingers. Bagels with schmear and latkes. I love the latkes.
Mandelbrot is good too. It's like a chocolate. It's like a chocolate chip. A biscotti almost.
Oh, but then it's really it's a Jewish Italian cookie. Biscotti.
I guess it's like that. I guess it depends on who makes it. I don't know, but that I can eat. But
Jews are known for everything. They've got the greatest minds in the world, the greatest inventions. resilience. They wrote the better part of the Bible. However, food is not one of their strong points. Definitely
No.
not.
Well, like I said, it's the suffering. Herman says Manischewitz wine in a dreidel wine cup is kosher. Dan, I did the distal bicep on the rotator cuff, bicep anchored to a different bone at the elbow. I went the other way. Mine's at the top where it was taken off, right up here where it hurts, and then I put it back. Worked out even better after a while. Squeaky agrees with you. If you can't post an executive summary, I ain't wading through that link. Dan says morphine. When you were talking about Darvan, he says morphine. Morphine is great. Morphine's phenomenal. I had IV morphine once, and it was the best drug ever. I never felt pain. It was fantastic. But they don't let you keep that. So there's that.
Well, I mean, they used it on the battlefield during the Civil War. So, I mean, it's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful.
Yeah, well, they also, I mean, that's what they call them the good old days, because they were giving out everything at the pharmacy counter, Coca-Cola with the codeine, right? Didn't you have cocaine?
I excuse me, sorry for doing that. I remember. Do you remember? I don't think they still sell this anymore, but as a child, my grandparents actually would give me syrup of Ipecac to make me throw up.
Right.
It was, I mean, they gave that to little kids, and unfortunately it ended up being used by a lot of young women who had eating disorders, for bulimia. But I don't think you can get syrup of Ipecac. I can't even pronounce it any longer.
You got it. You got it.
Anymore. I don't think they do. I do remember the codeine. Do you remember there was a cough syrup? Was it Vicks, I think, that had codeine in it? And
well, you can still get it with codeine, but it's prescription now, and it tastes terrible, and they make it taste terrible on purpose so that people won't abuse it.
Right, they don't make it the cherry. The cherry was delicious. I used to love the cherry.
That's why they don't make it anymore, because of people like you. It's your fault.
Really good, Mom. I want some more. It's working on my cough.
Star says, how are a Slinky and Joe Biden different? A Slinky can go down the big flight of stairs on Air Force One. Dan remembers Darvan. He said, we've been all over the place tonight. We've been everywhere, which is fun. I have no problem with that.
We haven't said a thing about the inauguration or Trump.
I know. Joe says we can do inauguration next week. We still got a week. Joe says that if you want to come back, it's up to you. If you want to come back on Tuesday,
I would love it. I love you, but I don't want to hog the time. I'm sure there are other people who are a little bit more plugged in with the politics angle that you might want to have. But if you don't, I will be very happy to come back.
I just asked you. Joseph says they still make Slinkies. One of the companies that manufactures the Slinky is actually a customer of mine. They're a metal fabricator and do a variety of wire products.
Oh, cool.
Wow. So they do make it.
Good. Yeah.
Herman says, I got my Slinky to go up the stairs by turning the Slinky upside down. Dan, do not ski. Not now. I still have 7 weeks out. So I have 5. I'll be skiing 5 weeks to attached, supposedly will be 3 months. And then I have 2 weeks after that. So 7 weeks. So I'm halfway. Let's see. Maybe if you only use one ski, you can hit the slopes. It's Carosis is great. I make it, and I make the best latkes. Dan does. Star Driver says a 1940 Slinky in the box is going for $200.
That's it.
I know.
Do these
young people don't want
young
people don't want anything old.
That's crazy. That a Slinky, I mean, they don't understand the cultural significance of a Slinky or an Etch-a-Sketch or like I said, one of those Duncan like the butterfly yo-yos, or you were talking about little Kittles. Do you remember? I may be the only one in the world that remembers this, but do you remember they used to have these little baby dolls in perfume bottles? They had these like pretty little plastic perfume.
Yeah, they're part of the little Kittles line, the Locket, Locket, Pocket Lockets, or something like that. I have one, but that was part of the little Kittles line.
Okay, all right.
But those things also, they're not like $7, nothing. Because I have my stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is worth a fortune. And then I went online and looked, and then my husband's like, so how's the fortune? I was like, fine.
Well, Barbie apparently, I don't know if it's because of the movie or what have you, but the original Barbies in their boxes
Oh yeah,
are calling for, like
of
thousands
course.
and thousands of dollars because
Yeah,
they're Barbie, because everybody recognizes Barbie.
yeah. Let's see. Mangle says everything bagel with cream cheese and honey. He's a Philly boy. Dan says morphine is great. We've talked about football, food, and morphine. So our favorite drugs.
And
So this is an odd conversation. How am I going to promo this? This is going to be interesting. Herman says bagels with a schmear is what keeps America great. Oreo looked for onion bagels, not even one on the shelf. Fastest bagel item here in South Florida.
I love onion bagels. Oh my God. I love poppy seed bagels. The poppy seeds get caught in my teeth. I don't care. I love the onion, the everything bagel. And there was another bagel that I really like too. I think I'm probably a poppy seed person though. That's my favorite.
I like a good salt bagel every now and then. I like those.
Oh, sesame seed. Those are really good too.
I'm not those about that. Oreo. I just look. I told my wife to just cut an onion, put that on the bagel. Let's see. Gregory, it's only, or Herman says, how about the mushrooms Janet Yellen ate in China? She ate mushrooms in China? I don't know. I don't know if that goes with the morphine conversation, the sports conversation, or the bagel conversation. I'm not quite sure. Or the Slinky conversation. I'm not quite sure where that fits in.
I don't know. I don't know.
Joseph is, Gregory, it's only $5,000 a person to attend Turning Point's inaugural Eve ball on the 19th. I'm going to Newsmax's party on the 5th, on the 19th in DC. So I'm doing that instead. We got invited to go to Georgia's with friends of ours to the Georgia Peach Ball. It's on the 18th, which is Saturday, because everything's on the 19th, which is Sunday. We got invited to go to that on Saturday, but I was like, I don't want to go 2 nights in a row. I don't want to do 2 things 2 nights in a row. Number one,
you have to take photos. You're our entree into
anybody can go. And the Georgia Peach Bun is on Saturday night is $300 a head. It's supposed to $5,000 for Turning Point's inaugural Eve ball. And if Trump is going to it, do you know the ones that Trump shows up at the president, the approved official ones are like $40,000 for a ticket? Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, God bless anyone who can do that, wants to do that. Not anything I'd be interested in. Not ever. Now, if you gave me tickets to go to Lambeau Field for the Super Bowl, and and this is against my own self-interest as an Eagles fan, I would pay $40,000, but not to go to an inaugural ball.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
Joseph says syrup of Ipecac got a lot of awareness at the time of Karen Carpenter's death. She was using it, as alluded to, making her already awful struggle with anorexia much worse. See, there you go. Yeah. And she was famous, so it takes one famous person to die because they're abusing something, and now nobody can have it. It's why if I need Sudafed in New Jersey, I got to show my driver's license, like I'm the criminal.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. People abuse it, and now people who truly do need these opioids and who would not abuse them can't get access to them. And
right.
People, I have friends who really are suffering or were suffering because they couldn't get their pain medication because somebody just couldn't control themselves or they became addicted to it. And I'm sorry, I know I sound very with a lack of compassion here, but I see someone suffering in pain and they can't get their pain meds because somebody else just, had an addiction problem. Why is that my friend's problem? Why does that become my friend's problem that you can't control yourself? I'm sorry.
But that's what we do. We punish, we restrict the actions of the law-abiding people because people who don't obey the law are ruin it for everybody who does obey the law. We're the idiots. Star Driver says 1960s and newer Slinkies are only going for $20 to $40.
Okay, I don't want to hear any more about this because this is depressing me. I thought if I held on to my 2024 Slinky long enough, if I die in 25 years, I could give this, gift this to my nephew as part of my estate, but apparently not. Not even an old one would be worth anything.
Perfume. I'm trying to see what the Little Kittles perfume things are called.
I loved them.
Little Kittles Sweet Pea perfume. Perfume Little Kittles. I have one upstairs.
And
but of course, wow, vintage. Well, one of them's $190, but these are mint condition. They're not played with. That's the difference.
Oh.
So.
Still, I'm glad to see though.
$42 if it's used. Sweet pea used is $42. So
Wow.
that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Do you know what my brother did for me for I think it was my 40th birthday. So it was a while ago, but he found for me a beautiful Chrissy. Remember the Ideal, the beautiful Chrissy doll they called the Chrissy, and Velvet was the Velvet was
Oh,
the cousin with. And Chrissy, you know, you punched her
yes.
little belly button and pulled out her hair, and
Her hair grew.
her hair
Yes.
grew. Beautiful Chrissy. I loved it. You know, Chrissy, Christine, all that. He found one in the original packaging, had not been opened. I don't know what he paid for it. I still have that. I still have that somewhere
Wow.
in my house in Havertown. And it just, you know, first of all, that he thought enough of me to find that. That was really a beautiful gift. He also, a couple of years ago, got me a Bobby Sherman LP, long playing vinyl record with the liner notes and everything. Bobby Sherman wasn't one of his more famous ones, but the song Gingerbread Man was on that, and I was over the moon. So I have a very caring brother.
You do. I have all my Barbie Sherman albums still. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Spring ski. Hey, Ron says spring skiing is great. Maybe you'll be great by then. That's what I'm hoping for. Dan said, apparently Janet Yellen ate trippy mushrooms. I did not know that. Mango Mush says no, he's a Poconos boy, so he's not a Philly boy.
Poconos is
Dan,
still, listen, we had a house in the Poconos. I still consider that like part of Northeastern PA is still somehow connected. I love Northeastern PA.
Dan says poppy seeds. Speaking of opium, that's your favorite.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see how small the poppy seeds are, and how much of a buzz can I get from a bagel?
True. Ori says, go 2 days in a row, Mary. Might be newsworthy. We can post all over X. Is he talking about skiing? I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. Joseph, Christine, serious. If we ever come to GB during football season, I have a volunteer group at every Packers game. If you were here, you could join us 3 hours before and see the bowels of the stadium, etc.
Oh my God, it's a deal. It's
He's
a
the
deal.
nicest guy. He's legit. He's a super nice guy.
No,
So
I mean he's a Packers fan. I mean he's a cheesehead. These guys are. Do you know how many times I watch the old NFL films with John Facenda, Philly guy, narrating? And my favorite one is the one about Lambeau Field and how they had, you know, it wasn't the Ice Bowl. I forget what it was called, but it was the most amazing technological feat that failed. But I absolutely adore Green Bay, and I can't tell that many people in Philadelphia because they don't understand that. But outside of the Eagles, Green Bay has my heart.
uh, I will get in touch. Joseph, follow her. Flower Lady 61 on X. Mango Bush says, I live in pain but refuse to take opioids. I lost too many people to that crap. Yeah, you can only take it for so long. Dan wants to know, wasn't Chrissy Barbie's kid sister? I don't remember. She did have a kid sister for a little while there.
No, her kid sister was named Skipper.
Skipper. Yes. Growing up Skipper. And remember, you pushed her arm and her boobs grew, remember?
She got that is really obscene. That they
right? Remember that? I thought that was the weirdest thing. I was never into Barbie as a kid.
Up, Statue of Liberty.
Right. And you raised her arm, or you put her arm up, or you put her arm down, and she grew boobs. It was the weirdest.
But then you put her arm down again, and they're gone. It's like she had a mastectomy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
It was. Let's see. Watching Your Back went to East Stroudsburg University, the Poconos. Joseph said, I used to watch Bobby Sherman. I got a hair on my face. I used to watch Bobby Sherman show with my 5 older sisters. Some of my fondest singing memories, and the Andy Williams show too. So I vaguely remember the Bobby Sherman show, but I also remember being wildly bored by it.
Well, I don't know. I was not bored by him. I thought he was absolutely gorgeous. And
I thought he was so cute. He was so adorable, but I was a teen, you know, I was a little, we were kids. I just remember thinking that the show itself was boring. I
It
didn't like.
probably was. All of those shows were boring. I mean, they were all those sketch shows, except for Carol Burnett, which was comic genius. Everything
Right.
else was kind of like, I mean, I liked the Sonny and Cher show because I just like to watch Cher in the Bob Mackie gowns, but it was stupid sketches, and then you got Cher singing a great song because Cher has an amazing voice. Carol Burnett really was the only one that had a really good variety show. Tony Orlando, I love the Tony Orlando and Dawn because I like to hear them sing, but they also had really stupid sketches. Although I will tell you something, Mary, looking at recent seasons of Saturday Night Live, I think that some of the 70s entertainment, the Saturday night shows, would blow SNL off the screen because they weren't obscene. Yeah, some of it was pratfalls and some of it was silly stuff, but it wasn't mean-spirited, and it was really authentic, and it reached out to you, and it didn't talk down to you. And when I watch SNL, they're making fun of me. And it's not just because I'm a conservative. It's like they're in on the secret. They're in on the joke, and I'm not. And that I never felt that way with Carol Burnett or the other guys.
No, I agree. We used to watch that with my parents, but I don't watch SNL, so it doesn't matter to me. Star Driver One says I sold all my early John Deere tractors and farm equipment from the late '60s and early '70s that I had as a kid in 1998. I wish I would have kept them till now. I would have tripled my money. Joe says the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, John Facenda.
Frozen tundra. Yep.
Shore Essential says to Poconos, I think of Fernwood. R.I.P. Fernwood, no longer with us. That's because Shore Essentials and I were in the same high school class. We were in school for, grade school, etc. together. And our senior class trip was to Fernwood. And that's where we went for our senior class trip. And
was that like a lodge? Or like
Fernwood, and they would sell it like, remember the Poconos? They had the champagne glasses, like that kind of. It was, but of course we were, they also had you could go sledding, and you could go ice skating, and you could go skiing. You could do all this stuff. And our senior class trip for every year at our high school always went to Fernwood for your senior class trip.
I would have loved that. I would have loved. When my first year as an associate at a law firm that I worked at, they wanted to get everybody together, and so they took us up to a place called Buck Hill Falls, which is absolutely beautiful. It's still there. It's a beautiful, beautiful resort. It's in the middle of nowhere, which most Pocono resorts are in the middle of nowhere. But I absolutely love the Poconos. My fondest memory of the Poconos is my sophomore year in college. I took the one science course that didn't require a lot of brains. It was geology, rocks for jocks, as they used to say. And we took a field trip to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, so that we could dig for trilobite fossils. And I remember that was the weekend that the Columbia Space Shuttle exploded. So yeah, it was memorable, but it was also memorable because the guy that I really had a crush on, I was going to show him how smart I was and how many trilobite fossils I was going to get. And I got all the way up to the top of a fairly steep hill, hit something and tumbled backwards. And
oh my gosh,
my culottes that I was wearing flipped open. So the entire world saw what I came into the world with. I mean,
well, no, you had shorts on under your culottes. The shorts culotte,
Anyway, never had a date with that guy. But I got an A- in geology. So
well, there you go. I can tell you that Jerry, I'm pretty sure Shore Essentials remembers as much of the trip to Fernwood as I do. Because the drinking age was 18 in New Jersey, it was 21 in Pennsylvania, and I can tell you that everyone on that trip, from the teachers to the students, had liquor with them. So because we were all legal in Jersey. So
well, what else do you do in the Poconos? I remember going to a tiny little town called Milford up in Pike County, and they had one movie theater, and every night they played the Rocky Horror Picture Show at midnight, and that was sort of like the big thing that kids did during the summer. And I'm not making fun of it because those were some of the happiest summers of my life. They were really, the Poconos are wonderful, and the people up there are just wonderful people.
All right, let's see. Everybody had Skipper. Sue's had Skipper. Dan, we love Skipper. Joe says, Christine, DM me next season. And then he
Do
says,
it.
Mary, I love you, but Bobby ruled. I don't know. I just don't remember the show being that great. I grew up watching Lawrence Welk. So I remember Lawrence Welk because when I would go to my grandparents' house for an overnight, like for the weekend, I would get to watch TV with because they had a TV in their bedroom. That's where the TV was, in my grandparents' bedroom.
Yeah.
So black and white. And my pop-pops and I would sit and we'd watch Lawrence Welk. And if whoever fell asleep first, the other person could go downstairs and get cookies and milk with grandma. And he was out like a light every single time. And I always got to go, hi, grandma, Pop fell asleep. And I would always get cookies and milk. And Sissy and Bobby, I remember the whole thing. And every now and then you'll see like on a back channel up here, it's usually like channel 11 out of New York, they will have the Lawrence Welk show. And I sit there and it's so hokey, but it's just so, I don't know. It's just, I could sit there and just watch it because it's just such a study. It's so Mad Men and so Americana. I just love it.
It's so true. I found some of them on YouTube and I watched them, and I did the same thing. I was with my great grandma, Nana, who was bedridden. I was 13 or 14 and we used to go visit her, and she was bedridden, and I would go upstairs and we would sit there, and in her hospital bed, we would be watching Lawrence Welk, and I loved it. It was clean. I remember my favorite singers were Anna Connie, the really pretty little Mexican girl who apparently was having an affair with Lawrence.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And no. I'm sorry. It was either Gail or Mary Lou Metzger. Mary Lou Metzger was a sweet little Irish girl from Philadelphia, very pretty redhead. Either she had the affair or maybe Anna Connie. And then Guy and Ralna, who were this married couple. Remember Guy and Ralna?
No, I just remember Bobby and Chrissy, or Sissy, whatever their name was.
Yeah,
that's what I remember.
The dancers. And then the one black singer that they had, that they always had him tap dancing. Today, that would not be that would not fly very well. But I forget his name. And then the guy with the accordion, Myron Florin with the accordion. I love that.
Remember the accordion. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Suze is out. She says, be safe, be well, everyone. Thanks, Mary and Christine. And then she gave a shout out to Mango Mush. And then she said, we start at 6 a.m. What's that from, Christine? Do you know? Greg Stocker on PHT on the morning show out of Philadelphia always said they actually have him yelling, and they play it over and over again. We start at 6 a.m.
I don't listen that early, but I love Greg. Love you, Greg.
Star says watching Tim Conway and the Carol Burnett show trying to make Harvey Lawrence laugh the bit was hilarious. You can watch that. I wish we had a show like that today that you could watch with everybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
Excuse me. The whole family could sit around and watch it. My grandfather be sitting there when he was living with us. All the kids, my parents, we'd all be watching it, laughing hysterically. Everybody got the joke. It was really, really funny. It was good, clean. It just doesn't exist anymore. There's no message. Right. It was just funny. That's all it was, and it was great.
Yeah, it really was, and it was again, it was kind. It wasn't mean spirited, even though it was kind of silly. It wasn't mean, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of George Carlin. I'm not a huge fan of the shock value stand-up comics. I don't like that. I wasn't a fan of Don Rickles, even though I think Don Rickles was really a sweet guy at heart. I don't like that kind of mean-spiritedness in comedy. And I know a lot of people say, well, you'll have to have the sharp edges, and that's what makes it exciting. Not to me. I'm not a Carlin fan. I wasn't a Lenny Bruce fan. It's, I like somebody like Ray Romano, who was hilarious as a stand-up comic and then had a really sweet show. Or what was his name? Rich Little, who used to do the impersonations on the Ed Sullivan show. Next time we have to talk about Ed Sullivan, by the way.
Okay. All right. We could do that. Let's, since we're over time here and I've got to prep for 9 hours of radio, 3 hours of radio tomorrow. I still got to do that. And I got to be up like 6 a.m. 6 a.m. I got to be up.
We start at 6.
So Squeaky says Smothers Brothers. I never understood the Smothers Brothers show. I don't even really know if I was allowed to watch it. Let's see. Joe says, Squeaky, Smothers Brothers were great. Love them. I'm the youngest of 8, but unfortunately, although I love them dearly, none of my siblings have any talent. Dan said, I have a trilobite magnet thingy on my kitchen paper towel dispenser. You mock the trilobite. Shame.
I didn't mock the trilobite. I gave up my dignity to the trilobite.
Oreo says, to see Rocky Horror, I had to wear a raincoat and a hat. Yep. We used to go. We used to go to New Brunswick, where all the kids from Rutgers were there watching it. We would go there at midnight. Almost take your life in your hands to do that. Manglemush said, we used to jump over to Hope, New Jersey to score booze and beer. Stardriver says, Mary, I'll send you a picture on X of my John Deere pedal tractor that I still have. I let my cousin have it. My uncle restored it before they gave it back. One of those little ones. Lawrence Welk and Ed Sullivan. Joe, I still watch Lawrence Welk show. It's on every day here. I guess that's W. I guess that's Wisconsin. The dancers. Turn on the bubble machine, Gregory says. Dan says, Dice Clay. Ron says, Lawrence Welk, one toke over the line. Nicholas, a place and time when we were growing up, things were nicer and safer. The cities were a lot nicer too. Manglemush, Ricky Gervais, he is brutally funny. Nicholas, what station again, Mary? Oh, so tomorrow and Thursday, so Wednesday, Thursday, I will be on Sirius XM Patriot channel 125 from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. I'm in for David Webb. And then Monday, Monday, I should be back on the Chris Salcedo show on Newsmax TV between 4 and 5 o'clock. It's usually somewhere in there. It's usually like 4:35. But sometimes it's 4:15. So somewhere between 4 and 5, but I post everything on X. I post it on Facebook. I post it on LinkedIn, Truth Social, and Getter as well. So I post everything there. And you can find Christine at Flower Lady 61 on X, and also at Kagel News Syndicate. You can find all of her writings there. Let's see, Shore Essentials. Because of Fernwood, I never touched a drop of wild turkey since then. Wow, Joe said Peter, Paul, and Mary were on Lawrence Welk. They had some mainstream people.
Yeah, he just died today. Peter Yarrow. He passed away either today or yesterday. It was 86. God bless him. Had a long life.
I interviewed him once years ago.
Oh, really?
Years ago. Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. Wow.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was for. Huh. I just know the name. I know that, like, I had him because I used to keep, back in the day, I used to keep the names of all the people I'd interviewed. And I remember, from Peter, Paul, and Mary, and we talked about Puff the Magic Dragon, and because everybody talks to him about that, but he must have been promoting something. Maybe he was doing a tour, or he had a book out or something that I wound up interviewing. All right, we're wrapping it up here. Nick says, cool, I have Sirius. Cool. Now, all right, Nicholas, I'll see you tomorrow and Thursday between 9 and noon on 125. Star says, great show tonight. Ladies and everyone chiming in. Great way to start off the year. Joe says, thank you both. Wonderful seeing you. Manglemush, Wild Turkey 101, proof never again. Shore Essentials. Oof, that was a rough morning. Yitzhak will be listening. Yeah, that's Dan's alter ego. Star, Patriot Channel 125. Yep, you got it, Star. Nicholas, thank you both for a fun show. Raise the kids on Peter, Paul, and Mary. All right, guys, thank you, everyone. It really was a lot of fun. So thank you so much for joining us. And hold on, I got to get the right thing here because they changed. They did an update to StreamYard. And so things have changed, which I hate. I love that they change things and they make it better, but sometimes it's not necessarily better. So thank you, everyone. And I'll see you again Tuesday. So fantastic. Thanks, everybody. And I really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week and be safe. Thanks.
Love to all. Love you, Mayor. Take care.
Bye, honey. Love.